At this point, I would say the Clippers at best are a play-in tournament team. Because when you think about the Clippers, the way they played last night against the Warriors, it really showed a lot of weaknesses, but it also showed a lot of lack of energy, a lot of lack of defense, and a lot of lack of continuity on offense, which doesn't make them a championship team amongst any other team in the NBA right now. They can't really sustain any leads. They can't really, dominate on either end of the floor. And of course, they don't have Zubac or Marcus Morris, but that's not the end all be all. I mean, Marcus Morris, a lot of times, he can be consistent, then he can be inconsistent as well. And Zubac can be the same way. And that's the reason why they got another big man in Mason Plumlee, who I think really should be starting over Zubac. And Zubac should be the backup center. If you ask me, Mason Plumlee had 12 points and 20 rebounds. Shout out to him. For playing really well. But when you got a big man getting that many boards and, controlling the tempo of the game, the way he was dominating on the boards and making some good passes as well, the Clippers should have won this game rather easily, especially without them having the services of Stephen Curry. Now, Klay Thompson was there and he was cooking in the beginning, but Kawhi was cooking as well. So, it's like they factored each other out. Kawhi would have had more than 21 points if, he would have played longer, and he did go 9 for 12, but at the same time, it's like he can only do but so much if this team doesn't play any damn defense. And the Clippers have not played no defense since the All-Star break has ended. And since they acquired Russell Westbrook, now they're 0-4, and they're looking up, being number 7, looking up as the play-in tournament team. Whereas maybe a couple weeks ago, they were like the 5th seed, looking maybe possibly to get to the 4th or the 3rd seed. So, my point is this team is going to really have to figure out something, and they're going to have to figure out something fast. I just don't know if they will, because when you look at the team, the way they're constructed, with Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup, you're not going to win much, because as I told you guys before, Russell Westbrook is a wild card. When you play with Russ, you play with somebody who has a lot of unpredictability. He can make a good pass, he can make a boneheaded pass, and when he plays good, he plays good. But when he does play bad, when he does start making mistakes, causing turnovers, it really hurts the team. If Russ has 3 turnovers in a game, it hurts a whole lot. You know why? Because 3 turnovers turns into the other team getting 6 to 8 points, or however many they get off the turnovers. And on top of that, Russ can't make up for what he did wrong because he can't stretch the floor and he can't shoot from the perimeter. He's probably the worst point guard in the league shooting from the perimeter. And in today's game, you can't have a starting point guard who is the worst 3-point shooter in the league. Not in today's game. Your point guard has to at least be adequate from the 3-point line. I looked at the game last night, and Draymond Green was damn near under the rim watching Russell Westbrook shoot a 3, daring him to shoot it. They didn't even try to play defense on Russell Westbrook, because at some point when you play with Russell Westbrook, if he's on your team, you're playing 4-on-5, because Russ can't stretch the floor, and Russ is not the player he was in OKC, where he can just dominate and get to the paint anytime he wants to and apply pressure on defenses the way he used to. He can do it at times, but he can't do it as much. And Russ, at this point in his career, is really just trying to fit in someplace so he won't be sent home and be this Hall of Famer that's sitting at the house and can't even keep a starting job or get a job in the NBA. And really, you got to blame Paul George a lot. He vouched a lot for Russell Westbrook along with Marcus Morris. And, it's been a disaster ever since they've acquired him. Paul George last night played horrible, 3 for 14. I don't know how Paul George really didn't play well last night, because he had DiVincenzo on him a lot of possessions. And DiVincenzo, if I ain't know no better, DiVincenzo was locking him up some. And I don't think somebody like DiVincenzo should even be on the same floor with somebody like Paul George. But really, that's debatable at this point from what I saw. And I feel like he was getting in Paul George's head as well with the physical defense he was playing on Paul George. And really, Paul George had the mismatch, because Kawhi Leonard, who shot a very good percentage and shot 9 for 12, and he would have had more points, as I said, if he played more, but he had Draymond Green on him and Kuminga guarding him, back and forth here and there, with a little bit of Jordan Poole every now and then. But this is is my point. You had the better matchup, Paul George. You had the easier matchup. DiVincenzo is an easier matchup than Draymond Green defending you. So, I mean, and Kuminga defending you. So, I mean, Paul George just really was not in a rhythm. I know he got in foul trouble, but still, he wasn't really in no rhythm too much to me before the foul trouble. I mean, it's not like he was being aggressive and really dominating and putting his imprint in the game, because maybe if Kawhi Leonard had somebody come with him last night, I think, the outcome might have been a little bit different. But, nevertheless, it's not. And it's another loss for the Clippers. They're 0-4. And it looks like they can't find their way. It looks like they just look like a hopeless team. The defense has been horrible for this team. I told you guys, when they played that first game against the Kings and gave up 176 points to the Kings without a superstar, I knew they was in trouble then. I mean, I knew it before they even played the Kings, because I said if they signed Russell Westbrook, life is going to be a lot different for the Clippers, because expectations really have to go down, because Russell Westbrook doesn't make your team better. He's one of those point guards where he's only really probably serviceable off the bench, because like I said, he can't shoot. And like I said, you can't have a point guard, a starting point guard in today's era that can't shoot. It's just not going to work. And that's the reason why the Lakers are probably laughing at the Clippers right now for being so dumb to go out and get somebody that was a problem for their organization. He wasn't all their problem. He wasn't the main problem. I mean, he wasn't, the sole blame for the Lakers not playing well, but he was a lot of the blame, because when he was in the starting lineup just previously last year, he really made the Lakers look bad, and he really made himself look like not the Hall of Famer that he is. So, I mean, Russell Westbrook in your starting lineup is going to be a catastrophe. And Ty Lue to let him be in the starting lineup after what he saw or what he's seen when Russell Westbrook played for the Lakers, Ty Lue is an idiot for that. And that's the reason why I said the Clippers just need a new coach, and really they need to revamp this roster. They're not going to do anything with the roster that they have, because they got a lot of good pieces, but what are pieces without the continuity? I mean, you put Robert Covington in the game when they're down 20 plus points, when time doesn't matter. Why not play Robert Covington a little bit earlier? This is why I said Ty Lue is not doing things the right way. And Terrence Mann, I mean, I like his energy still. I like what I saw last night, but he's really getting undercut. You know what I'm saying? Because Terrence Mann should be in the starting lineup. I mean, the way he was playing before the All-Star break, it looked like he was figuring it out along with Kawhi and everybody, and he was gelling really well with them. So if you got things working, why would you mess that up? If it's not broke, don't fix it. You see what I'm saying? So if they were going to acquire Russell Westbrook, which they did, they should have let Russ come off the bench, because that's where Russ would thrive the most. That's where, I mean, look at what the Lakers did with him. Darvin Ham did that exact thing. He let Russ come off the bench. He kind of let Russ be Russ with the second unit. And in the latter part of the game, the late fourth quarters, he wouldn't play Russ. He would let Russ sit on the bench. Or, if he did play Russ, I mean, the Lakers, might have had a chance to win that game. So maybe he let it go. But this is how the Clippers got to use him. And the Clippers are going to try to come out here and defy logic and say, oh, we're going to put Russ in the starting lineup and we're going to win a championship still. You're not going to win a championship with Russ being in your starting lineup, and I really don't think you're going to win a championship with Russ being on your roster. I mean, honestly, I don't know if Russ jinxed this team or not, but I really feel like he did, because this team was playing a whole lot better than what they are now before the All-Star break, and I'm just wondering, like, what the hell happened? So, I mean, honestly, I know what the hell happened. Russell Westbrook happened, and this is the reason why I told you guys before, getting extra people on their team is not going to be the answer. When they traded for those three acquisitions that they got, Highland, Plumlee, and Eric Gordon, I thought that was good enough. That's all you really needed, because those guys were just to come in and actually fit in with the roster that you already had, the way it was already constructed. Now that you add Russ to it, you're asking Russ to be a starting point guard for a team with two superstars like Kawhi and PG and himself, and to run the operation of the offense and everything of a guy of Russell Westbrook who can't stretch the floor, who can't shoot, who doesn't play defense that well. And on top of that, he's really just, a waste of energy guy at times, because of the fact he can't shoot. A lot of guys, like if you look at last night's game, like I said, Draymond left him wide open on a couple of occasions. And, Russ just didn't knock him down. And it's going to be like that 9 times out of 10, because he's not a good shooter. And having a point guard who can't shoot is just not going to help your chances of winning. So I don't know what the Clippers are going to do. I don't know what their direction is. I don't know what Tyler's going to come up with next. But I could tell you, Steve Ballmer sitting in that stands with $1 billion, he's not happy. If he has to, he's probably thinking to himself, he's losing a lot of money, a lot of investment money in this team because they're not performing up to expectation. And, like I said, you got to blame Paul George, for one thing, because he was the main one pushing for Russell Westbrook. And I don't know why he did that. And I don't know why it even got sent through, because I know Kawhi Leonard didn't want to play with Russell Westbrook. I mean, it's not even a doubt in my mind. So, but maybe Kawhi just biding his time so he could leave this team and don't worry about the catastrophe anymore. Because honestly, like I said, they might be a play-in tournament team at best. They really might, because I don't see them reaching higher heights no time soon. And I don't really think they can compete against anybody in the West. If you can't beat a Curryless Warriors team with 3 of your star players on your roster, and they just got Klay Thompson and a bunch of little role players, I don't see how you're going to challenge Phoenix Suns or New Orleans Pelicans or Denver Nuggets or anybody. I don't see how you're going to challenge any of these teams in the 7-game series if you can't win games like that. And I knew they were in trouble the other night when they lost to the Timberwolves without Karl-Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards didn't even really have a good game. He only had like 16 points. So, I knew they were in trouble then. So those are just the games that you can't lose. At least before the All-Star break or before they got Russell Westbrook, they were beating a lot of the teams they were supposed to beat, like the lower seeded teams. They were beating those teams. You know what I'm saying? They might not have been beating all the best teams, but they were beating all the teams that they were supposed to beat, the teams that were not better than them. You know what I'm saying? But now they're losing the teams that they're supposed to be better than, and the Clippers just look like they're lost. And like I said, that energy in that room, in that locker room, it looks like the air is sucked out of that room. I don't know what has changed besides signing Russell Westbrook, but I think this the psyche of Russell Westbrook being on your team, it just makes things a whole lot different. Now Terrence Mann's role is reduced. It looks like Norman Powell can't find his stride because he's not really catching it in rhythm the way he was when Terrence Mann was the point guard and he was catching it more off the bounce. Now he's kind of like doing a little bit more running around, trying to find himself to get open, expending extra energy, and it's taken away from his jump shot. And a lot of his jumpers look flat. And, that's really not a good sign, because they depend on Norman Powell to come out there and give them that 16 to 20 points every night, which allows them to be a more dangerous team than a lot of other teams in the league, because they have somebody that special coming off the bench who can give them type of numbers. But either way, the Clippers right now, they're just not gelling. And like I said, I don't know how it's going to work out, but you went and got Bones Highland and you cut his minutes short. Terrence Mann's minutes is cut short. You don't play Robert Covington, and you got Russell Westbrook in there, playing, and he comes and step into this team being a starting point guard. And I'm pretty sure that made Terrence Mann feel some type of way. I'm pretty sure it made Bones Highland feel some type of way. You know what I'm saying? So there might be some feelings in that locker room that's really not cool with everything, which might be precisely the reason why this team is not playing the way they're supposed to. Now, I do know they don't have Zubac and they don't have Marcus Morris, but Marcus Morris is a hit or miss guy. We know Marcus Morris can be consistent for a couple of weeks or maybe a month and then go back to being inconsistent. And same with Zubac. That's the reason why they went out and got Mason Plumlee, who I think really should be the starting center. If he's going to give you 20 rebounds and 12 points, because I don't see Zubac do that hardly ever. Zubac had one game this year, I think, where he did something like that, but that's the only game I see him have like that with the Clippers since he's been on the team. So I don't know. It just looks really, really discombobulated. That loss was embarrassing. That loss was just an utter, disappointment. And the Clippers really ought to be ashamed of themselves. And they have to go into tonight's game, another battle. And, you don't know whether Kawhi is going to play tonight's game because it's a back-to-back. You hope that he does. But as I said before, Ty Lue is not a good coach. Ty Lue is not coaching well. And, Ty Lue, ever since I feel like Ty Lue is more for LeBron than anybody else. That's the reason reason why he's not coaching well with this team. And I think Ty Lue is just trying to find his way out of this situation and sabotaging this team possibly, because it just doesn't look like he's really coaching worth a damn. Or it looks like Ty Lue has almost lost this locker room. And if he's lost this locker room, then Clippers fans, it's over with. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's what it's starting to look like. He's lost his team and he can't get them where they need to be on the same page, because he made the decision to put Russ in the starting lineup. And I'm pretty sure, as I said, it made some players on the team feel some type of way, and it just wasn't the right move to make. I mean, if anything, if you're going to get Russell Westbrook, have him come off the bench the way the Lakers did, because that's really the only way he can kind of be effective, because he can do his own thing and you can have better perimeter shooting and better spacing on the floor with somebody else in the starting lineup with Kawhi and PG, rather than the offense being all on them and they're playing 4-on-5, because one guy is a non-factor in the scoring column for the most part when it comes to Russell Westbrook, because you don't know what you're going to get with him. And that's the reason why I said it's hard to play with Russ, because he's so unpredictable how he plays. You can't really actually get a rhythm with him because you don't have a point guard that plays in control of his own game. You got to have a point guard to play in control of his own game, and you got to have a point guard that can stretch the floor. And they don't have that, Russ. They didn't have that with John Wall, and they didn't have it with Eric Gordon. Eric Bledsoe last year, I think, when they had him. So it's like the Clippers just keep making dumb mistakes as an organization, and it's just costing them. And this is the reason why I said, when the organization makes dumb mistakes like this and bring in guys that they really don't need and all these things, it just makes life a lot harder for the other guys. And like I said, all these people that sit there and talk about, Russ is the perfect fit for the Clippers and everything like that. How's he the perfect fit? How's he the perfect fit now? I mean, yeah, he comes in, he gives you 8 points last night, 3 for 12, a couple of turnovers, the usual. But there again, he has opportunity to knock down shots, and I think he goes like 1 for 4, 1 for 5 from 3. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised going forward, he might not hardly make any threes or anything in the game, because he's just not that type of player. And like I said, he doesn't have that first step the way he used to when he was on OKC, so he can't use his athleticism as much. So what value does Russ give you in regards to being a point guard for your team if you're trying to win a championship? Not much, because he's never been a championship point guard anyway. And on top of that, when he was playing at his peak, I mean, it didn't equate to wins. It just equated to individuality, which is him getting triple doubles, and that's it. But that's not really going to help you win. So I saw the frustration on Kawhi's face last night when they put the camera on him and Paul George when they were down by 20, 25 points to this Warriors team, which is crazy. Shout out to Jordan Poole, though. He did go crazy in that third quarter. He had like 23 points. He definitely went off, but at the same time, the Clippers got to be a lot better than this. You lost to a Timberwolves team the other night that you should have beat. You lost to a Warriors team last night that you should have beat. You had the lead. It felt like the Clippers were in control, and then all of a sudden the Warriors just flipped the switch and started playing defense and moving the ball a lot better than they did the first half. And that was the common denominator right there. And as far as the Clippers, man, they're gonna have to figure out something soon, because as I said, they look like a playing tournament team to me. They don't look like a playoff team. And if they got to go through the playing tournament, that is a hard road to go through to get all the way to the championship. I'm just not sure if they can do that. So, I mean, I don't think no team has done it yet, of course, but, maybe they could be the first to do it if they find themselves in the playing tournament, but I don't know if they're going to win anything anytime soon. I mean, they just don't really look like they can catch a rhythm enough continuity enough to turn into that championship caliber team we think they could be. So, I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing since the acquiring of Russell Westbrook, because I told you guys there would be a problem. But either way, hey, you ain't got to listen to me. All you got to do is look at your TV, look at your YouTube, and look at the stats, and you'll see what I'm seeing. And right now, the Clippers are 0-4, and right now they look like they're in a world of trouble, and it looks like they don't know what to do, or it looks like they don't have an answer to even figure out how to even solve this. So, I mean, it's it's going to have to be a lot of, real talks in the locker room. It's going to have to be a lot of looking in the mirror, and it's going to have to be, some pride put on the line. These guys got to play with pride going forward. And Ty Lue better start making better decisions, because if he doesn't, then this team is just going to tank. And if they tank And I'm telling you, you thought it was worse you thought it was bad when they imploded in the bubble. If they tank this year, they're gonna get worse criticism than they did when they lost in the bubble, which is unfathomable if you ask me. But hey, it is what it is. So we'll just have to see what happens and see if they can, maybe try to rectify what the problem is now. But hey, that's my take on everything. You leave any comments in the comment section. Also, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you haven't. And hey, till next time.